is reaping his pivotal foot, it's not ushirogoshi. Ushirogoshi is a technique where you raise your opponent up, holding him by the hip and letting him fall. Tomoe nage. In tomoe nage, you drop backwards while putting a foot on your opponent's lower abdomen and throw him back over your head. Here the technique is applied just as soon as your opponent steps forward and tries to put his weight on his foot. Here the opponent is pulled out forward at a slight angle as the technique is applied. This is the way you apply the technique when your opponent is in a right-handed position, making him go off balance on his toes and making him fall to his right as you throw. Here the throw is made over your head when your opponent is in the right-handed position. Uranage. The principle behind this form is to use the force of your opponent as you dodge his striking motion and to throw him, lifting him up on your hip as you sacrifice yourself by falling backward. Here the opponent's hanegoshi is transformed into an uranage. As the opponent attacks with a hanegoshi, hold his hips and bring him close and throw him directly behind over your shoulder. Another way is to hold and raise your opponent up from the front, then leaning back, throw by sacrificing yourself. Sumigaeshi. You start with both sides grappling in a defensive position. The technique was already in existence in Koryu, one of the older schools of Jiu-Jitsu, and the exact same form has been handed down. In the present-day Randori, we do not start directly from such a position. In Sumigaeshi, you fall backwards in a self-sacrificing movement. Place the instep of your right foot in the crook of his left knee and lift him up over your head. You pull your opponent forward, grasping his rear collar to execute sumigaeshi. Here it's done by grasping your opponent's rear collar or his back and starts with uchimata. Here it's a quick turn around from the uchimata position, followed on with sumigaeshi. Hikomigaeshi. In a randori situation, the throw is often made by pulling your opponent in close, holding his belt at the rear, then by throwing him, falling down in a self-sacrificing motion. The place where your foot is applied varies. There's no set place. This is the method of throwing by falling to your side. In this case, it becomes Masutemi-Waza. You pull your opponent's belt at the rear close and throw by falling sideways in a self-sacrificing motion. Tawaragaeshi. In Tawaragaeshi, you hold your opponent from above to pull him close, then throw as you fall face up in a self-sacrificing motion. In this situation, your opponent defends himself by leaning forward. This Tawaragaeshi follows upon the opponent's morotegari. When your opponent jumps in close to execute morotegari, you pull your feet back, drop your hip low to defend yourself, then counter. Ukiwaza. In ukiwaza, you step sideways on one foot, sacrificing your balance, and throw your opponent in the direction of your foot. Around 1883, when the nage no kata form of the throw was established, the technique was performed starting with grappling in the self-defense posture. This is ukiwaza, performed by pulling the opponent forward. This ukiwaza is performed by stepping in with your right foot when your opponent withdraws his left foot. At times, you might assume an oblique defensive posture after pulling your opponent forward